Hello and welcome back to Adventurous Way. It is a damp start here today in Vermont and it looks like our conduit has had its first rainfall overnight. My job this morning is to keep going with the backfill, and the first task that I'm going to do is try to get a little bit more sand. There's some low spots under the conduit here that we want to make sure are packed with sand underneath, so that as we put sand on top, it doesn't just press that conduit down into the ground and stress it. The sand on top would probably fill underneath anyway, but I'm going to do it manually and just make sure. Once that's done, there's a few areas here that we actually want to spot treat with some concrete. You can see this area here in front of me. There's a fairly shallow bit of rock here, and there's also around this post where we put the rebar through the 4x4 post. I want to put some concrete around there. We have that in the back of the truck. We have, I think, 6 bags of sackcrete back there. We've got the wheelbarrow now, although it is a real cheap low-end wheelbarrow that we picked up, and we're already stressing it just carrying the sand, so not quite sure how it'll hold up to 80 pounds of concrete, but I guess this morning we're going to find out. Our excavator is back on site, so I'm going to be getting an excavator assist now for backfilling these trenches, which should make it go a lot quicker.
Yesterday we just continued laying conduit, and we finished laying the 3-inch conduit. With the help of the excavator, we got this whole section, driveway section, filled in, and we got another load of driveway subbase rock delivered, so that got spread out so that we can have our driveway back. And now that we have a 3-inch conduit in, we are going to pull the pull rope. Yeah, it's coming out. Let's stop now. Oh yeah, it's way too short, I think. Are you still running the vacuum? Let me get on a ladder and see whether it just doesn't like the vertical aspect of it. Okay, let me pull it out. Going now. Yeah. Don't stop. Yeah, going. Don't stop. Don't stop. Keep going. Okay. At first, the line didn't want to go in, And I think the reason was that the bag was like too smushed together. So after I fluffed up the bag and tried again, then it went through. So yay, 1 pull line in, 2 more left. Now we're going to install the pull rope for the fiber line, and this is slightly lighter pull rope because it doesn't need to be as strong as the primary electric. So this one is 210-pound strength pull rope. Okay, yep, yeah, it's going. It fed really fast just up till just now.
Alright, so we are working here in the area around the transformer pad, and what we're doing is a little bit complex. So let me see if I can walk you through what's going on. Coming into the transformer from over there, we have a 3-inch conduit. This is schedule 80 as it crosses the driveway. Down there it transitions to schedule 40, and that is an approved transition from our utility company. So what we have going in here is schedule 40, 3-inch conduit, and there is a pull rope inside. This is where our primary service, the high voltage line, comes in to this transformer pad. In future, the transformer will be mounted on top here, and final grade will be about 4 inches or so below the top of this shell. Round on this side is where the secondary service comes out. Secondary service is now the 120/240 volt service that you're familiar with in your house, and the secondary service specifically goes to the meter. This here is 2.5-inch schedule 80 conduit. This is coming out from the transformer pad and going to our meter backboard. Now that backboard is a temporary arrangement. That's just to get us going for the next year or so while we build the utility building, which is where we'll house our final meter. Up there right now we have a 100 amp meter and a 100 amp main breaker, or I should say a 100 amp main breaker with a meter, and that is what this 2.5-inch conduit is serving. This already has a wire inside. This is a wire that we have to run, and this is a 1/0 triplex wire in here. So why have we got a second conduit coming out? Well, this is 3-inch schedule 80 conduit, and it comes under here and then heads off in that direction, where for now it's just going to be stubbed out, and we're actually going to stub it below grade. You can pull it up above grade. We're choosing not to, just because we're going to be driving over that area. And the reason we're going to be driving over that area is because this conduit is going to be going to the utility building, specifically the side of the utility building where our future meter will be, along with 400 amp service. And that's why this conduit is larger. It's 3-inch versus the 2.5-inch over here. And that is the spec from our utility company for that size of service. That explains these two conduits. But what about this giant mound of sand that you can see here? Well, the reason for this mound of sand is that we're running 2 pieces of conduit, actually 3 pieces of conduit, all the way up the trench. We have the primary service coming in 3-inch, and then we have a piece of 2 and 1-inch conduit containing our fiber internet and a network cable in the other one for our own cameras. Those need to be separated by about 12 inches from any electrical conduit, primary or secondary service. Now down this conduit, or down this trench I should say, they're separated horizontally. But here they need to cross. They need to cross this one, which is the one going to our backboard. This one does a 45 and stays low, and this one stays low in a straight line. So what's happening under here is our 2 and 1-inch conduit rise up through the middle of this sand, which is compacted down underneath where they are, and they come out over here, where they're going to drop back down again to be the same height as this piece of conduit, or the same depth, I should say, as this piece of conduit. And again, they've then got the 12-inch of horizontal separation. But just in this middle section here, they have to raise up to get over that piece of conduit in the middle. So it's kind of like a little spaghetti junction going on under here. But we're taking our time to get this right so that everything's got the right spacing and it's all safe and good to go.
And the fiber conduit over here is schedule 80, and it still has enough, it still has the required depth.
Yeah, so even though it's 12 inches higher, it's still about 2 feet below final grade. Final grade is actually somewhere up here, this kind of height. So there's a lot of sand and compacted earth and things that's going to go on top of this anyway. And yes, like you say, this is schedule 80. The reason we're doing that is because in future, the building is kind of going to be over here. And there is a chance we might be driving over this area. So to play it safe, we decided to lay schedule 80 conduit for these pieces of conduit down here, just to give it a little bit of added protection. Although, to be honest, with the depth they're at, I don't think we're going to have any issues there anyway.
You buried the evidence.
Say again?
You buried the evidence.
Of
Concrete.
concrete, yeah. Yeah, just this portion here was just a little shallow. And so what we agreed with the utility company was it wouldn't do any harm to put a bit of concrete under here. It's probably not necessary. We're kind of on the edge. So I'm pretty much on top of the concrete now, and you can see this is the edge of the road. It's where it banks up naturally anyway. So it's probably going to be way more than 3 foot deep. But just in case, better safe than sorry, for the sake of some bags of concrete and about an hour's work. Hard work.
Sweat.
A lot of sweat. A lot of sweat. Right, we get this raked out and then we'll compact it. So this ratchet strap here, this red one, is holding this rigid 90 in place. And we did that just so that we could get this as vertical as possible. And now that we've compacted all the sand around it, it's got a good couple of feet of fill here. Hopefully when I release this, this shouldn't move. But we need to release that because we're trying to tape our foil tape on here, anti-textile tape. And we want to put it just a little bit higher up, somewhere here, and it's in the way. So let's see if this moves too much. No, it's slacking that, didn't say move. So, our primary, oh god, that's tough. That's not moving anywhere. So for the first time, this is free. It's still being held on by this standoff here. This will stay. We're going to redo this fitting. We didn't let it dry properly before we used it, which was our mistake. So I'm going to get a new fitting, cut this off, put it back on again, and then we'll probably cut this standoff or this short pipe off about here. I don't actually know how tall they want it. I just know they want it to reach this standoff. So I think we'll cut it off, a little bit proud of that. And then they've got everything they need. We can always throw a longer one on here if they need it. Okay, there we go. So I can now cut this off here.
Ooh, you want to do that?
I'm going to cut it off here. I've been using this knife for everything but cutting lately, and it really needs sharpening.
Pretty good.
Did I pass the test?
You passed the test.
You did not expect me or
No.
want me to pass that test, did you?
The first time, no.
Yeah, I got those nice and tight. And there's a couple of wraps in the wire as well that are hidden from view under the wire nuts. So yeah,